The Book of the Negroes is a historical novel about 3,000 black enslaved Africans who escaped during the Revolution War and were evacuated to Nova Scotia's free people of color. This takes place in 1745 in Africa in a small village called Mallet. The village was surrounded by Bayou slave catchers who caught several Negroes and forced to walk for 3 months hooked on chains in a line of prisoners to walk to the sea on the other side of the world. Antimeda quoted, "It seemed like we traveled to the other side of the sun. On this side of the world, the sun was one doubt and not to be trusted." Antimeda is an 11-year-old girl who was snatched from her village. She was in a forest and forced to watch the slave catchers take the life of her parents. Antimeda, along with others who were thrown on ships to be sold as slaves. Women in danger of rape and abuse, they ended up in South Carolina months later and put into an auction to be sold as a new life as a slave. When they arrived, her new plant owner was named Appley. He is a mean and abusive character who believes he gets what he wants whenever. He treated Antimeda with disrespect and constantly abused her. Antimeda was always told by his maid, Georgia, to never be left alone with him. Appley always made harassments and never made her feel miserable. He always punished Antimeda by rape, getting spat on, thrown onto the floor, and even cutting her hair. Antimeda remains strong and tries her best not to get in trouble to avoid this kind of abuse. A man named Turkia is the other main character in this novel who had been forced to assist the slave traders because they told him that he wouldn't be sold away. But then later on he was thrown on board with the rest of them being tricked on. He became Antimeda's friend, which had a hard trust in him, but they grow a relationship as they each other's background as they get to know each other. When the slavery sale came, they were forced to be apart. Later during the teen years, Antimeda and Turkia reunited again and they fell in love. As Appley found out that Antimeda had been continuing a relationship with Turkia, she was told that she could not because she was his property and the only thing that she should be doing. He learned, and the punishment for that was constantly raping her and for her to do more work. Antimeda married Turkia and they had their first child together. Appley gave up knowing that he couldn't break her spirit. He conceived that Antimeda and her baby would be sold separately. He sold Antimeda to the Lindos, where she loved her life again, but she never saw her son again. Throughout the novel, Lindo and Antimeda grow a close relationship. They allowed Antimeda to read and write and to see her husband. Lindo makes her pay some of the money that she gets from being a midwife. After she's Turkia one day, she finds out Lindo helped arrange the selling of her son with Appley to the Witherspoons, and throughout, her son later on died. Antimeda, knowing that, it ruins the relationship and completely changes everything. After finding that out, Antimeda sneaks off and runs away from the Lindo household and works as a teacher and continues being a midwife. She helps other Negroes to read and write. It symbolized that she can always carry hope on her back. It's an act of innocence of light towards the death of her son, who she never got to watch grow. Her son's death symbolizes the opposite of despair of death. There are various themes in this novel. The tree of chosen is family and pain. Family plays a huge role in this novel because Antimeda loses the loved ones slowly one by one. She becomes independent. Antimeda perhaps goes through a lot of pain and shares her struggles. Pain and suffering emotions play out the whole time, physically and emotionally. For example, when she lost her children, she quoted, "Phantom limbs, lost but still attach me, gone but still painful." Antimeda and Turkia decided to take off to Nova Scotia to start the new beginning. They wanted to have a second child where it wouldn't be taken away from them. They wanted to live in peace, and the only way to do that was to go to Nova Scotia. As they were about to take off, Appley put a warrant out for Antimeda as a runaway slave and she's under arrest. She was taken away from her husband again and her only chance of freedom. Antimeda finds out that she was pregnant again when she got out of jail, but Appley did not accept. Fall came and Turkia left onto the Joseph ship, became a free man of the slavery to continue his new life to be with Antimeda and their family. After Turkia is on the ship, Antimeda finds out that the ship had crashed and Turkia along with other passengers died. Months later, Antimeda had her second child with Turkia in sight and named her daughter May. I relate my book to Kill a Mockingbird because this is a tension of reason versus racism. Because in the 1700s, there was no true reason why to hate, it was because of the skin color, and eventually, people's racism took control. These two novels are very much alike. They both show victims of color injustice for their lives wishing for their freedom. Tom Robinson and Antimeda both have similarities and connect with the same themes and tensions. It's because these two characters experience racial injustice and innocence. Antimeda decides to take off, but then Lindo finds her and throws her into the Revolution War. She had more freedom with the favor in return. The list of the British loyalists reporting slaves rewarded them with the state passes in Nova Scotia because of Aunt Amita's ability to read, write, and translate the different languages. Aunt Amita is hired to record the names in the book, which she had wrote the Book of the Negroes during the time of working for them to write her story. As years go by, Aunt Amita takes Clarkson's offer to help the other enslaved escape. Aunt Amita finds herself going one more time to England to talk with the account of her life to help abolish the slave trade. She published her life story at schools and churches. She is eventually reunited with her daughter May 18 years later after being kidnapped from Aunt Amita. Her daughter May had been working as a servant in London and managed to escape out of it years later. After Aunt Amita finding her daughter, they finally go back to Nova Scotia where they started their new life again.